Okay, so question 28, we're going to be using fields from both tables to produce some address labels. So before I start this question, I want to go back to my website and back to the PDF. So this was a database PDF, so you can click on here to access the PDF on the IGCSE revision page, so paper 2, click on here. And if I go to the labels section, I want to show you two different types of labels, okay? So this is a label question. And in this question here, let me just go down. It says here, show suitable text to identify the fields. So here, when you're creating labels, you need to write down the field names and then send across the data. So we've got the field names, make, model, connection, retail price, notes, okay? And then you've actually got the data, which will be different for each record. Okay, so this example, we had to include the field names. And then if you come down, in this example here, we only include, we only show the fields first name and family name on one line with their job description on a separate line. So we're not including the field names. So if I go to the next example, next slide, this is how we created it. So we've got the title, we've got the first name and family name. We haven't displayed the field names. And then if I show you the printed or the complete label, okay, and maybe if I zoom in, I can show you. It's going to be quite difficult to tell on this PDF actually. But what I want to also bring your attention to is if you go to my YouTube channel, and if you go to home, and then if you come down, this playlist here is really important. I've created some practical overviews. So if you click on it and go to database overview part 3, I start by going through the labels, okay? So, and showing you the two examples I showed you in a PDF. So hopefully maybe I can show you the labels, what they look like at the end. So, so this was the first example where we had to include the field names. Okay, so, and then let me just pause. So you can see the field names. Okay, I'm still missing the title. And then the actual piece of data. So each record would be different. So this model was G700, this model was Naga Epic, but we've got the field names in this example here. So if I skip forward onto the next example, hopefully I can get to it. I think I've skipped it, so let's go back a little bit. Here we go. So in this example here, we're not showing a field name, so we're not saying first name and then Akil Aga. We've basically got Akil and then Aga, then mechanical engineer. So if we go back to the question that we're doing at this moment in time, display the fields in a position shown in the following sample. Okay, so we've got title, first name, last name, address 1, town, postcode, member date, and TIN. So we don't want the fields to be displayed like in the first example. We just want to insert the data for each field. So before we create the query or the labels, we have to create the query. And if you want to have a look at two different examples, just check out this video here. I will leave it in the description below. But let's go back to this question. So first of all, when you create a query, we need to select the fields. So what we're going to do, we're going to select the fields shown here for the label. Okay, so if I go to create query wizard, so before we can make the labels, we need to filter the records. Let's press OK. You need to select the fields from both tables. So basically what you need to be doing is making sure you're selecting the field from the customers or orders table. So what's the first thing we need? We need title, first name and last name. So title, first name, last name. Address 1, town, postcode. So address 1, town, postcode. Okay, member date and then TIN. So member date is here, and then TIN must come from the other table. Let's send TIN. So we got selected basically fields from both tables. If we go to next, it doesn't really matter what you call your label. I'm just going to call it label for now. You don't need to have a specific title. Let's click on finish. So we're starting with 201 records. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is contains only records where The membership type is adult or family. So we're just literally going to look at member type first. Where's it gone? Okay, we don't have member type, so what we can do is we can add it for now. So member type, let's run. Okay, so it's single words in these fields. Okay, so as you can see, so what you want to do is basically type in adult or family. So we need to use the or to search for multiple records containing adult or family. So you type in adult for the criteria or family. If you click below, then click on run, so you can see it's family or adult, and we're down to 38 records. We don't want to show this field, so let's hide it. And we still should be down to 38 records. Yes, we are. The membership date is before 2015. Okay, so I want to check the date format. So it's in a complete format. So to get a date before 2015, there's two things you can do. You can either type in less than or equal to the last date of 2014, 12/2014. So last date of this particular year. So if I go to member date, less than or equal to 31st of 12/2014. Basically what we want is any date before 2015. This will work. Okay, so you see there's no dates after 2015. So, or what you could also do, doesn't really matter if you do it like this or like this. You can type in the first date of 2015. Okay, so this will find anything that's less than this particular date. So I haven't got an equal sign. Click on run, and again it finds the same amount of records. So we're down to 19. And 3 or more tin ingots have been ordered. So the tin will be greater than or equal to 3. So this particular field, greater than or equal to 3. And we're now down to 7 records. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Let's save. So we've done the search criteria, sorted into ascending order of last name. Okay. If I create the label now, so we're going to do the sort in the actual report. So we've done all the query tasks, we selected the fields, we put the search criteria in. Now we're going to make the labels. Okay, so to make the labels, save, click on create labels. What you want is the labels to be arranged in 2 columns across. It's going to be 4 rows of 8 labels per page. So let's just select 2 across for now. Next. And for each label we're going to have a heading, so it's going to be called VIP invitation ! So include a center aligned heading in a larger font. So I like to include the headings at this point here. So I've got that. We can center align it afterwards. Okay, then we need to basically display the fields in the position shown in the following sample. So we're going to have title, space, first name, space, last name. So we're not going to enter any field names, we're simply going to click on the fields to get the data. So title, space, if you don't put spaces in, then all of the information will be stuck together. And then last name, press enter for the new line. On the second line, you've got address line 1 by itself, enter. Then you've got the town and the postcode. So town, space, postcode. Enter. Then you got the member date and tin. Oops, tin needs to be on the next line. And because your name, center number, and candidate number will appear on each label, we can also include it here as well. So if we come to the bottom, I can type in my name. Center number, I'll use 5, 6, 7, 8, and then candidate number, I'll use 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's click on next. And what do we want to sort by? The sort is going to be into ascending order of last name. So last name. Okay, next. Let's just go back. Yeah, next. let's just call it labels, doesn't really matter. Finish. Okay, so I'm just checking the sorts worked out for me. So B, Jenkins, yeah, P and an R, yeah, that's fine. So we got labels. Let me just zoom out. How many rows do we have? Yeah, it looks like we've got the 4 rows and 8 labels to a page. There's only one mark for fitting the labels, so it doesn't really matter if the size is not correct, as long as you've got 4 rows and 8 labels on the page. What we need to do to the heading is we need to make it slightly larger, bold and center aligned. So to format your labels, you can go to your design view. Let's click on here, and what we want to do is we want to center align it. We want to increase the font size, and we want to make the font a little bit bold. This we can move down slightly, even more so actually. And then if I go to print preview, if you just go to report views, it appears as one column, but you need to go to print preview to see it in 2 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, so we got all of the labels. Now, for example, if you go to design view and this is too big or this is too big, and you go to print preview, yep, I know it's not fitting, and you can see some of it's cut off, and now we don't have 80 labels fit into one page. So you can go back to design view, just decrease the size here, decrease the size here, go to print preview, and you can see all of the labels fit in as we expected. So is anything else left to do? So the search criteria we did before, and we checked and it was right, so we selected the right fields, we entered the search criteria, and then we created a label. Okay, when we created labels, we put the fields into the right order, onto the right lines. We put the sort onto the last name, A to Z. We've arranged it in 2 columns, so it's 4 rows and 8 labels per page. We display the fields in the position shown. We got the center heading. You got your name. Is there anything left to do? So we've come basically to the end of the label questions. So, like I said, before you print, just double check, zoom in, and double check to see everything looks right. I'm happy that got the heading on each label, got your name, center number, candidate number on each label. Then we just got the fields displayed together. So this is now ready to print. So this is your next printout for your databases. Okay, and we can close that down. So like I said before, if you do print and you realize that there is a mistake, you can always reprint. Okay, so let's now look at question 29. Answer the following questions in your own words and record your answers in your evidence document. So question A, the customers table contains a primary key. So the primary key is a unique piece of data for each record. Explain why the last name field will not be appropriate as a primary key. So the last name, if we come here, is not unique. Some people may have the same last name. So this is not suitable to be used as a primary key. You ideally want to use a record or a field which is different for every customer. Okay, so the customer name, last name will not be unique for each customer. So when adding the data to a field in the customers table, it would be easier for a user to select data from a list, so like a drop-down menu, for example. Identify another advantage of selecting data from a list. So if we did have a drop-down menu, let's say on a pay type or on a title field, it basically speeds up the data entry, so you're selecting from an option rather than having to type in. It also reduces the chances of making any mistakes. And finally, C, identify 2 fields that would be most suitable for setting up a list selection. So we already said for title, we can have a drop-down menu to include Miss, Mr, Mrs, or Miss. We can also have a drop-down for pay type to include all of these options here, and also maybe you can also have it for the member type as well. Okay, so adult, family, junior and senior. So we can have a drop-down menu, so if you had a drop-down menu you don't have to type in the values. So I've already copied in the answers into my evidence document. So A was, the last name was not unique. Some people may have the same last name. Advantage of having a drop down menu is quicker to enter data, reduces the chances of making mistakes. Which fields can we have a drop down menu for? So we said title, pay type, or member type. Okay, let me save this. And we've come to the end of the database question now. So in total there were 30 marks available for the database. It's really important, if I go back to the evidence document, you take nice clear print screens. The typical print screens are of the table. Make sure you show the field names and data types, and then of the relationship. So I like to show both print screens of this window, which shows us one-to-many relationship, and then the actual diagram that shows it's a relationship. Okay, this is where a record was entered into a new form, so it's really clear, really straightforward. Some people in the exam, they'll basically go to the bottom of the table, they'll add a record here and then print screen that. That's not what they want. They want you to show the records being entered into a form that you created, and this is basically a print screen of the formula that we used to work out the average of the order value, a print screen that we exported the card payments into a text document, and finally some questions based on the database topic. Okay, so we've come to the end of the database section. Hopefully I will be completing the mail merge and PowerPoint sections soon of this paper. Thanks again for your time. So we've looked at November 2018. This is a new paper. We've looked at data manipulation, which is databases. Please like and share this video. Please show your support to the channel, and please subscribe below. If you would like any particular types of videos, please comment below as well. Thanks again for your time.